Texting 68019er. Thursday here in the sack. I am flying solo tonight, sort of. I am RJ it's Thursday, so I'm slightly above average. Thursday, Friday, I'm usually above average. Monday, Tuesday, below average. Not really feeling it. Actually, you can kind of read me like you read like an injury report in football. So if it's like Monday, Tuesday, doubtful. Wednesday, questionable, definitely questionable. Thursday, still questionable. Friday, probable. And Saturday, Sunday, in. I'm playing. But that's usually how you can read me. Anyway, welcome back to the mid-sack, to IDD, for those of you in the know. For those of you who are just starting to become knowledgeable about this is I Don't Disagree. Can you see that? I don't disagree. That is the redoubtable Tom Izzo. He is here in spirit tonight as he has journeyed north for a weekend rendezvous with his family up on the Jersey Shore. Wish him and his family have a great mini vacation, if you would call it. They go up this afternoon. So I'm flying solo this evening. I'm going to do 2 brief segments tonight. But Tom is with me in spirit. This will be the only time you actually see him say this or hear him say this. That, by the way, came from his. He's turning 40 very soon, so we took him up to D.C. Last night or yesterday for a day-night trip to see the METS, who were in town for the finale of a 3-game set with the Nationals. Quick recap on that: the METS won 9-4. It really wasn't that close. They jumped out. I think it was 8-0 or 9-0. I say that because we left, meaning me and one of our partners in crime left to make a run to set up for the evening's festivities after the game. So we left at the end of the 7th inning. It was 8-0 Mets. Most people were drawn away by that bomb, that granny by what's his name there. Vogelbach, Nogeltech, whatever his name is, but they'd walked Alonso because Alonso hit one that still I don't think has landed yet a couple innings before, so they walked him to make the bases drunk. Then the guy behind him, Vogelbach, whatever his name is, Vogelbach, drilled one over the right field fence. The second he hit it, that thing just kept going, and with it, any hopes of a second consecutive upset by the Nationals. So the Mets took care of business last night. They beat the Braves tonight in Game 1 of a big 5-game set up in New York there. So I'm sure Tom is having a nice frosty cold one or something to enjoy that win tonight as they extended their lead, I think, to 4.5 games now, if not mistaken. But it's a big first win to start that epic 5-gamer this weekend up in New York. Red Sox went the other way after a nice, solid taking 2 out of 3 from Houston. One of the best teams in baseball. They lost the 3rd game of that set. Didn't expect them to sweep them, so I wasn't too surprised at that. But they won that series, so there was reason, some hope, and then they ran into the Kansas City Royals, who. You shouldn't lose to the Kansas City Royals, but they lost 7-3. So they dropped that one tonight. So they're back on the ship is again taking on water. Anyway, couple observations from that game last night in Washington for you National fans out there. One, what a stadium! I have not seen that facility except on TV. So it was my first journey into the ballpark there up in D.C. Very impressive layout. I'm used to Fenway Park. And Fenway's more about the nostalgia, the history, and all the renovations. Because if you saw all the renovations, you were like, "When are they going to rip this place down?" But they did a great job. They being the owners in not only doing the renovations, but really making it feel like, for the most part, a state-of-the-art ballpark with that traditional historic feel to it. So that's great. But this facility up there in D.C. is state-of-the-art. It's pretty awesome, and I was blown away by that. What I was also blown away by was at least based on what I saw, was the utter lack of anything that, because where I'm from, ownership, management, whatever you want to call it, wouldn't be allowed to do what the Nationals front office and management is doing down here. And these fans seem to have little to no problem with it because they're saying, well, we got one in 2018. Well, that was 4 years ago. Okay? So where I'm from, it's what have you done for me lately? And 4 years ago, if you've gutted that team and replaced it with I don't know what, fans up north wouldn't stand for this. No way. The uprising on social media, news, sports talk radio would just be the beginning, just the tip of the iceberg of what would be going on up in Boston if management tried to pull this crap with the Red Sox fan base. And the reason this didn't sit with me, I mean, that's not the way I'm wired, but I understand the perspective to a point. But there was this little, in our world, there's this little, I mean, he couldn't have been more than 8 years old, this kid. He had his Nationals cap on, looked the part, he was there with his dad, and when the game started, he was all, but then, he can count. And he saw what was happening. The look on his face at that seventh inning. All right, guys, let's try and get something going. Try to stay positive. God love that kid, but he already knew. Just and it was terrible to see. Look, there's no shame in losing to the Mets. They're one of the best teams in baseball. It's not that they lost. It's the way they lost and the way they've been losing. And seeing and here's the other thing. There may have been more Mets fans there last night than there were Nationals fans. That part I get, because at least it tells me the fans are like, you know what, if you're not going to put a competitive team on the field, I'm going to watch this crap. But for the loyal diehards who really they just love baseball and they love that team and they believe with them, to sit there and, to know you were outnumbered in your own stadium. I mean, the Mets started chanting. We were in the Mets section, by the way, which was quite large. Every time, they started doing a chant, the Nationals fans had no rebuttal, had nothing to say, didn't even boo, didn't do anything. Just kind of were like, oh, well, it's what it is. I don't know how they're sitting or standing for that, personally. If you want to sit there and keep telling yourself, well, we got one in 2018, I suppose if that allows you to sleep at night, okay. But, and the other thing about this that really creases me is that kid, Soto, had 2 years left on his deal. Okay, he turned down $440 million. Maybe the writing was on the wall, but you had 2 years left. What if you took those 2 years and instead of convincing him to stay, maybe you build around him and show him, well, we're doing this for you. And then maybe when that contract, he sees the team's going in the right direction and he chooses to stay. Unless something happened behind closed doors and he told that guy, look, you could go get the judge, you could go get whoever. You can go get, the kid from the, DeGrom from the Mets. You can go get anybody you want. Who's the best? And I'm still leaving. Okay, maybe that conversation happened. I don't know. But unless I heard that, personally, I'm going to spend the next 2 years building around him. So when his contract is up, and when he thinks this team has a chance to win, and he's the piece, and then I'm going to throw the max deal at him, whatever he wants to keep him. That's just my mindset. I'm not saying that there aren't Nationals fans out there thinking that. Maybe you are. I can go by what I actually saw at that stadium. And as a Red Sox fan, I had no pony in this race. But just sitting there and the vibe I got from the bulk of those Nationals fans, they just, well, it is what it is. Didn't care. Didn't matter. Now again, it's a new team. A newer team rather. It doesn't have the history of the that goes back over a century of the Red Sox fan base. So it's not nearly, the heels aren't nearly as dug in, as it would be as we are up in Boston. So I understand that to a point. But the competitor in me, in the region with which I come from, which is all about if you're not first, you're last. I was talking to Tom about this, like, there's no way my fan base would sit for this. No way. There wouldn't have been anybody in that stadium. There wouldn't have been anybody there. The only fans that would have been there would have been the visiting team. There wouldn't have been anybody. Parents wouldn't bring their kids to that up there where I'm from. So it's just a different mentality. I'm not saying it's better or worse. I'm just saying it's different. And the vibe was different. And it's a shame because that is a gorgeous facility up there, and it looks like it's a first-rate facility. But as I told some of my friends who up north, because I told them I was taking in the game last night, I said, first-rate facility, just, meathead management. And, of course, I don't know if it was the GM or the owner or the CEO, whoever it was, came out there and tried to explain to the fans what they're trying to do. It's been 4 years since you won the World Series, and you've been going steadily the wrong way. So I don't understand that. But if I saw a 23-year-old with that kid's potential walk out the door, for a bunch of 18, 19-year-olds that may or who the heck knows what they're going to be. I mean, I know there's a kid that throws 100 miles an hour. And they got another guy who's 6'7", and has a lot of power apparently. There's some prospects there, but they're 2 years away. That's another 2 years away. What's going to are you guys going to watch this for the next 2 years if you've just seen? I mean, or have been seeing? I don't know. But just looking at that up close for the first time and seeing the fans that were there and the look of just like ugh on their face, I felt bad for them. I do. I really do. I wasn't kidding when I said that before, but now that I've actually seen it, really feel bad for the Nationals fan base. You deserve better. So that being said, Tom obviously being a Mets fan, he was, and that's kind of what his face was last night when before the Grand Slam there, but actually after the Grand Slam, he was all in his glory, and he's coming up on his 40th birthday, so good for him. It was good to see him happy, his team win. They're in a big race with Atlanta right now, and so every win counts. You got to get them all, and but it was I was happy for him. But we were sitting right in the Mets section. I'm sitting there with my Red Sox cap. I'm just like, I have no business being in this crowd, but I didn't cheer either way. I just sat there and kind of took it all in just as an observer, and so those were my takeaways from that amazing facility. Very nice people there. The fans, the ones I did happen to have a share a word or two with, very nice people. But I'm interested in talking if I really get to just pick out of their brains. What are they thinking about all this? I don't know. I just know that watching that and in the back of your head you're going, if that happened in Boston, I don't know. They'd be fired, lynching him at the gate. They'd be waiting for John Henry. John Henry probably wouldn't be able to show his face in Boston again if he let something like this happen. So, and they've got their problems up there too. So they've got to sign Devers and Bogarts. Rumor has it they want to sign Devers. They're talking about maybe Bogarts walk, which would be a monumental mistake if they do that. That guy is the Red Sox. He bleeds the Red Sox. J.D. Martinez, to his credit, has come out and stated he would like to stay and come back after his contract is up. Hopefully they do the right thing there because he's a hell of a hitter. And build around those three and go from there and get yourself a damn closer. The trade deadline came and went. They really didn't do anything to make me optimistic. They brought in a first baseman who can hit, but they gave up the catcher who can hit to get him. So basically they didn't replace a bat. They got rid of a bat that they needed and brought another guy with similar numbers, just plays a different position. So hopefully the catcher they brought in, because they did have to bring in a catcher, hopefully he pans out. But it's not looking too good for the Red Sox right now. The Mets right now look like everything I thought they would be. So they're in a big series again with Atlanta, and they're starting to play like they're in that playoff mode, and they understand they can see the light at the end of the tunnel, the brass ring, and they're going after it to their credit, which is what they should do. The San Diego Padres, who raped whatever you had left of talent in terms of Soto and Bell, they look like a different team, and they were already good. Now you've got four legit teams legit teams in the National League right now. That being them, the Mets, the Braves, and of course the Dodgers. So those four look like whenever their paths collide, those are going to be epic series, which sets up for a great NLCS. Barring a who knows what. But by adding those two pieces to the lineup, they being San Diego, they can pretty much almost go bat for bat with anybody in this league, including the Yankees. So that's going to be a very interesting race to the finish there. They're not going to catch the Dodgers, unless barring a catastrophic injury to one of the Dodgers, show ponies. But they're going to be in the playoffs, and they're going to be a team that nobody is going to want to face in the playoffs. That lineup up and down is going to give people sleepless nights, and with good reason. And they may get high enough where they're hosting some of this, but that's going to be a very interesting race out west, or in the NL. And the AL, there's still a lot of teams in there. The Red Sox are still not out of it. I think they're 3 games back after tonight in the wild card. So they're by no means out of it. There's plenty of time left, but they got to get healthy if they want to make any sort of a run at this over the next 6-7 weeks. So we'll see what happens there on the health front with the Red Sox. The Mets just got to keep doing what they're doing. They have to understand that the thing about it is the more you win, the bigger the next game gets, and the game after that, and the game after that. So and if you're a competitor, that's what you live for. So the Mets have a lineup like that now, where there's a bunch of dogs in there. So they live for competition. So this should be the moment where they really start to shine. And I don't expect them to take all 5 from the Braves. They're too good, but the Mets could take 3 or maybe 4. And if they do that, they're gonna put some distance between them and Atlanta, which would be big. So we'll see what happens there. The Nationals, you're on life support right now. You're just on life support. I feel bad for your fans. I felt that in the stadium yesterday. I left before they got 4 runs, so it wasn't a total embarrassment. But 9-4 is, it stopped short of a bum blasting, but it was a beatdown. It wasn't a bum blasting. It was on its way to being a bum blasting, but they actually saved some face and got some runs and gave their fans that there's at least a pulse in that bullpen or that dugout, at least for now. See how much longer that lasts. And then we'll see these prospects that they got. They got a haul for Bell and for Soto, so we'll see how soon they get some of these guys up there, if it's going to be this year or not. I mean, at this point, why not? I mean, I know you probably have to put them in AAA for a while, get their feet wet, but I'd start getting some of those guys up if they haven't done it already. Get them up there next week as soon as possible, and let them play out the string and see what they got, and start building from there. If I'm a Nationals fan at that point, that's probably all you can hope for. Is that the kid who throws 100, get him up here, though, and see what he's got. I don't care if he's 18 or 19. Get him up here, let him get his ass handed to him for a while and get used to this, because he's young. They want to put him in AAA and groom him. Groom him for what? I mean, team's in last place. Team's the worst team in baseball. Groom him for what? Get him up here against big league competition. Let him take his lumps that way. You only get better by playing against the best. And it's not. I'm not trying to knock anybody in AAA. They're good players there, but if you want to get these kids or speed up their turnaround time for actually get them up there as soon as you possibly can, and let them start taking their lumps now, because this is the time when you can do it, and the fans would at least understand it. Because if I'm a fan of that team, I see that in 2 weeks or 3 weeks. Okay, well, at least they got them up here and they're getting their reps. That would be something to look for. Let's see what these kids can be in a year or two. Okay, but if you're not going to see them for another year or two, that's just like, what the hell? We could have spent 2 years building around the 2 guys that we just let go and see what we look like in 2 years, and then make this guy one more offer. Or maybe at the trade deadline, then you get something for him. And again, I was not in the meetings where either his agent or him or whoever, whenever they conversed about this mega deal they offered, or if they just said, look, he's leaving no matter what you do. So you might as well get rid of him now and get what you can for him, because no matter what you do here, he's not staying after 2 years. If that happened, or if the agent said that, or if Soto said that, I don't know. Maybe that's why they did it. Okay, and if that is the reason, okay, then get these kids up here as fast as you can and get them reps. Start getting them reps. Start getting the fans to know their names and give them something to hope for. Because what I saw up there last night made me sick. Made me sick as a sports fan, as a competitor. Made me sick. I felt so bad. I was like, wow, this is just awful. It felt like somebody died. It was terrible. It was just like, unless of course you're a Mets fan. I was in that. They were hooping and hollering, living it up, and it's just like, oh man, it's bad enough to watch this team get crucified, but now it's a New York team doing it to them on top of it. So I take it you don't disagree with that, right, Thomas? I'm talking to a shirt. This is terrible. Yeah. Anyway, we're going to close this segment off with that one. But my message to the Nationals fans is, look, don't put up with this for much longer. Don't. 4 years ago is 4 years ago. Don't keep regurgitating that one, because that gets old real fast in the real world. So to start demanding more out of your front office, and start demanding it sooner rather than later, because that's a great facility, and I met some very nice people up there who are dire fans, and you deserve better. You deserve better than this crowd. I'm not saying you're going to win it every year. Nobody wins it every year. But you deserve to see a competitive team on the field. We're going to spend your hard-earned Monday on a Wednesday night, or sit there at a 4 o'clock start in that 95-degree heat. I'll tell you right now, thank God we were in the shade. I mean, it was almost unbearable, and we were in the shade. If my team was in last place, you could have given me that ticket, I wouldn't have gone. No way. No way. To watch that garbage? No way. No. So, to the fans, the Atlanta Nationals fans that did show up, I tip my cap to you. To that poor little kid out there whose name I'll never know, I tip my cap to you, young man. Keep your chin up. It is just a sport at the end of the day. But the look on his face, that hurt. It's not even my kid. But I felt bad for him. I really did. I wanted to buy him an ice cream or something, poor kid. I'm sure his dad did. I'm sure his dad saw what was going on and hopefully did something to brighten his day there, because it certainly wasn't the baseball team doing it. But we're going to close out this segment with this. Nationals fans, do not take this for much longer, if at all. Start demanding more. Start demanding it sooner rather than later. This is the real world. You're spending your hard-earned money, actually. And that stadium, by the way, look, I mean, there was more Mets fans there than Nationals fans. When that's happening, a lot of things are wrong. A lot of things are wrong. And it starts with the front office. So if they got a plan, that plan better start working fast, because that was unbearable. Forget the heat. That was hard to watch, what that fan base is now going through or being subject to. And two of them are my friends. Well, actually, one of them is my friend, Morgan Porter, who was there with me, who had his stuff on. You look on his face, and he's from here. That's his team. And just, So, anyway, keep your chins up, Nationals fans. Let's hope that the help is not only on the way, but some of it has already arrived in the form of some of these prospects. We will be back with segment 2 in a few minutes. We are going to talk about the NFL and that appeal by the front office on Mr. Watson's ridiculously grotesque slap across the face of every female in this country, and really the world for that matter. Just a disgusting display being put on by the NFL, and we're going to get into that next segment. About what the league needs to do and what it needs to do now, and not to save face. But you guys grab a beer. I'll be back in a few moments with this. Me in the mouth that roared on the shirt. We'll be back in a few minutes.